Hey, what is good, you guys? I am Jaydeep and welcome back to the channel. So, before we start today's video, a quick shout out to the folks at AssemblyAI for sending us some quality swag. So, this is the chef, and this is how do we get this? This is one more which we have from them. So, thank you for sending it across. So, we're going to build some speech to text recognition system using AssemblyAI, of course, and Gradio as the front end. So, without any delay, let's get started. At the AssemblyAI website, and what they basically do is they provide services for translation of speech to text. So for example, if you have audios, maybe from telephone calls, or maybe just your YouTube videos, or any business which you run which has audio capability, and you want to convert that to text. Say you want to store it for archiving, record calls, and generate text from them just for taking notes or stuff like that. Basically any use case which you have to convert speech or any audio or video to text, there are solutions which are available on AssemblyAI website. So this is their homepage, and you can go and check the services which they offer. If you want to try it out, there are free kind of limited credits as well. So you can experiment with the APIs and see how it works. So the website is pretty informative. What all products are offered, what are the use cases. So as I mentioned, telephony, video, virtual meetings, media. And apart from that, you also have very handy and complete documentation which are built by them, which will kind of help you get started on building the APIs, consuming the APIs, and kind of getting a feel and know-how of the product. So it's available as APIs as well, and I think as you now see, a CLI is also available. If you don't want to work with the APIs, CLI option is also now. So that was about backends. Now let's talk about the front end. And we're not going to build the entire front end on ourselves. I actually don't think I can even do that. I mean, I might try and get to a point where it's usable, but yeah, I don't think that's my expertise. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a Gradio.app, and it's another wonderful tool if you are from the backend or the AI ML kind of background and you're not that fond of building front ends. Gradio is your solution. What it'll do is it'll give you a number of solutions, or number of ready-made out of the box solutions which you can use to build apps, the one like the one which we saw. So there are, if you go to the quick start section, it will give you some documentation. Then you have demos as well. So for example, there's ready-made applications which already kind of have some use cases and how would you build them. So that is also available. So this documentation is more than sufficient to get you started. So we'll take help of both the AssemblyAI website. We'll go to the developer section, and we'll go to the documentation rather. So we'll jump to the documentation of this. So we've jumped at the documentation of the AssemblyAI section, and we're going to use this walkthroughs which are available just to show you how easy the website is, and just to see how easy it is to kind of consume these APIs. And the tutorials are also pretty handy, and they're available for multiple languages. And the same goes for Gradio as well. If for every kind of component which they provide, there are examples which are available, and you can just take help of this if you get stuck at any point. So I think that's the intro for what we're going to use. So as I mentioned, AssemblyAI is going to power our speech to text translation, and Gradio is going to be our front end. So how do you get started with AssemblyAI? It's pretty simple. What you can do is you can create your account. You can just click on the create account. It's available on the main page as well, and it's available on the documentation as well. Now, once you log into your account, what you'll see is kind of a dashboard of your usage, then some tutorials which are available, and also the details of your plan and all. So if you see, I'm on a basic plan, and also there's a ability to use the basic plan to kind of get a feel of how these APIs work, and what are the results, and kind of build small demos if you want to kind of use this product and you want to play around just to kind of build POCs. Then you can just do this with a basic plan, and if you're happy, then you can just go and upgrade your account as well. Getting started with Gradio is also pretty simple. It comes as a Python package, and you can just install it using pip install. So what I've done is I've used my favorite package manager Conda, and I've already created a virtual environment, and I've already installed Gradio in it. So if you see here, Gradio is already installed. So that's the only thing which you need to get started. And what we'll now do is build our first sample. Actually, no, let's not go there. What we'll first do is we'll just get a look and feel of how Gradio apps look. So there's two possibilities, not two, but if you see, there's like 3 or 4 different possibilities, but we'll look at the two main ones. One is the interface, and second is the blocks. If you look at the interface, and the demos which you looked at, this one, hello world. So this is kind of an interface. So this has a single input block, this is an input block, and this is output. So if I just do JDP here and submit it, it'll use this interface, this input block. So this is what happens, gr.interface. So Gradio.interface builds this input, give it the function, the input. So the input is the text which we are given from here, and the output is also text. What happens is this interface, when you click on submit, it calls the greet function, and it passes this text as an input, and the output is also text which is returned by here. So this is an interface, but this is a little bit less flexible, and for our use case we actually need 2 or 3, at least 3 of these. I think we 4 of these we saw. We wanted to do live recording, we wanted to upload an audio file, we wanted to check the status and generate the subtitles as well. So to do that, what we have is we have something called as blocks. The blocks are a bit more flexible, and what they allow us to do is, if we just scroll down somewhere here, okay, I think what we'll do is we'll just click on try examples. Not here, but surely find one example somewhere here. Yeah, this one. So I think this is the image, not the image, but this is kind of the blocks demo. So this is what we want to build, right? We want to build 3 or different foods. So instead of building it from an interface, what you can do is you can build it using Gradio.blocks. So this is one block, this is another block, and this is the whole code. So this is the kind of the code which we want to use. So instead of having flip text and flip image, we want to have the audio processing bits over here. So I think that's just a basic gist of how Gradio works, and what I think most the docs are pretty self-explanatory, and all the components which are available, they are given here. So what we're going to do is, obviously we because we're doing audio translation, speech to text, what we need is audio. We can use video as well if you want to upload video, but for this, try to keep this tutorial a bit short. We'll just use this audio. So this is what you want to use, Gradio.audio, and the documentation is pretty self-explanatory how it needs to be used. But yeah, we'll kind of visit that as we build the application. So because we said that we want to use blocks, the blocks element, right? Because we said we want to use the blocks layout, or kind of the blocks instead of the interface, what we'll do is we'll just use the block example as it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy paste this entire code, and as it is I'm going to paste it in the what do you say, in PyCharm. And actually let's try to run if this runs or not. Okay, so already see some issues here. Text input, text output. I think this needs to be a list, so documentation definitely needs to be updated. And this, I think this is more correct. So how because I've kind of played around with this already, what I know is if I just click on this, I know that the inputs is a list of components, whereas in the example it was just supplied as a single element. So I think that's why I think it would have worked 100%, but just to be kind of thorough about this, what we're going to do is we're going to try and pass the inputs as expected. So this is what we have here now. So this is working. So this is one tab, this. Okay, I think what we'll now do is we'll just see what is happening here. Again, just to comply with the PEP guidelines, let's see how this works. Let me copy, I think, one last part, which is demo.launch, and we'll go over this one by one. Right. So as I mentioned, what Gradio does is renders the front end. So obviously to render a front end, we need the server. So everything comes bundled as part of Gradio. Now what this is, what we've done is we've imported Gradio as gr, numpy as np, and obviously we have used the numpy.flip function to kind of reverse the image or flip the image. And to flip the text or reverse the text, we have just used a standard standard reversal of a. So this is how you build a block. So with grade.blocks as the component manager, and this whole section is called as the demo, and this is what we want to launch. So what's happening here is we have some markdown text. So if I click on, so markdown is just one of the many components which is available here. So if I go to Gradio Docs and markdown is just one of the many components. So these are just standard HTML components which are bundled for people who are not that good at building front ends. Everything just comes out of the box. You have to make some configurations and you can make it work. This is the other tab, and within one tab we have the text input, which is nothing but the text box. We're going to use one text box as the input and the other as the output. So what Gradio will automatically understand is, this block is supposed to serve as input, and this other block which was supplied here is supposed to kind of have the output displayed. So you will not be allowed to enter anything here. Similarly for the image input as well. So we've used the image component. I think the image component should also be available here. So we've used the image component, and one of the image components is obviously input and the other is output. So then we also have a button. So again, this is just a standard HTML button. Nothing different actually is happening here. And to make life simple, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to remove this row. So we'll just have a single row and just keep everything here within two tabs. Yeah. So we have two text elements, and we have a button. One is input, one is output. So this is how we supply. So how do you know that this is what is to be supplied? Pretty standard. It's just another method which you need to call in, and we can explore the method as well. So now I'm going to run this. So let's try to run speech to text demo and see what happens. Okay, the server is now started and we have an application which is ready to run. So this also says that if you put share is equal to true, this application would be globally available. You can share it with your friends as well, but we don't want to do that now. I think it's best to run it locally. So if I just click on this, so this was the kind of demo which we wanted to get to, but this is just a good start. So if you see flip text and flip image is available, I can enter text here, but if I click here, nothing is available. So if I just do 1 2 3 4 and try to submit it, 4 2 3 1, this is reversed. So similarly, if I just choose an image, let's see if it allows me to choose an image. So this is one, and let's try to flip it. Let's see if this works. May not work because I think we need to supply the image as a we'll just go into the detail, but let's see if this works. If it works, it's okay. If not, I think it's already worked. We could have done some sizing related sizing related aspects, or taken care of some sizing related aspects, but that is not the scope of the demo. It's just to show that this is what a block interface looks like. You can have multiple tabs, and within that tab we can have our demos ready. Also, this is an where did this go? Here. Yeah, here. So this is the accordion. So it's just collapsible item, and this just says look at me, but you can just put, what I've done is I've kept the accordion as it is, and what I've done is I've given a shout out to myself. And so if you're watching this tutorial, you can just click on the subscribe button as well if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. And also I'm available on Twitter, and you can follow me. So my Twitter username or handle is @_Jaideep Karade, so you can follow me on Twitter as well. And again, I've removed this text, or not removed as such, but I've converted it into kind of a shout out for the providers of our API, AssemblyAI. So yeah, just a shout out. And also if you see, it's a little bit customized, or we've added some CSS to whatever. I think on a 1 to 10 scale I'm at like 2 for CSS, so I've done some minor modifications, and this is just a standard emoji. So that's just a look and feel of how the blocks interface works. And now let's move on to customizing this as per our needs. Actually, before we move on to customizing, again, to show this text button dot click, what happens is this text button dot on click, it takes in the function. So this is the flip text function. These are the inputs, and this is the output. So take the input from this block, this gr.text block, which is basically our first text box, and place the outputs in the text underscore output. So this is what we want to do, and we'll just modify this a little bit. The first thing which you're going to do is stop this, and you're going to make changes to this. So what I've done is basically I've given this block a title, and I've put the custom CSS as well. So if I just click on blocks, it will tell me what all options are available: the theme, the analytics, embedded, mode, title. So this is the title which we have given, and the optional CSS. So if you're good at CSS, what you can do is you can customize the elements which are available within this scope of this block, and you can add some custom CSS as well. And that's exactly what we've done. So this markdown, which was earlier, which is currently saying flip text or image, we've changed that and we have made it to the URL of the providers of the API AssemblyAI, and this is what we've done. And in the markdown, we have the element ID as well. The element ID is an optional string that you can assign as an ID so that we can have control over this. So basically this is like in if you're from the HTML div ID and stuff like that. So this is the ID of this element, and we're going to use this to provide some CSS to it. So let's now try to run this and see what this looks like. Okay, the application has started, so let's go and refresh this. So I think, yeah, if you see, I think I cannot go back, but we already have a better looking, what do you see, better looking UI or better looking title, and also this is all-in-one text-to-speech. So this has come from the title of the blog, all-in-one text-to-speech, and this is a URL as well, so it redirects to the home of our service provider or the API provider. So again, yeah, now let's move on to changing this. So what we have here is here record audio for transcription, submit audio for transcription. So the record one, if you notice, has a record button. The submit one has a capability to upload it. Check status is just where the status of the what is the status of the transcription, and this fourth is the generate the subtitle. So if you want to kind of download the results, you can actually see the result here as well, and the file would be available for download as well. So let's try to implement these two blocks first. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the Gradio Docs, and we need audio as well, right? So let's look at this element gradio.audio, and if it is used as input, passes the upload file, passes the uploaded audio as a tuple, which is an integer, and numpy.array corresponding to the sample rate and data of the audio. And if you mention what do you say it as, if you give the type as file path, so basically what I'm trying to say here is it has the number of parameters and type is just one of the parameters, and it's not optional. So it has a default value numpy. So what happens is if you leave it as default, instead of passing the file, what it'll do is it'll convert the audio which you have into integer and numpy.array based on the sample rate and data, and it'll pass it as a tuple. But if you give the value as file path, then it will be available to upload. So it's clear that for our use case, we need the file path. We don't want to convert the audio, we just want to pass it as a file path. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And what we're going to do is then we're going to firstly try to rename this. So instead of having this, what we'll do is record audio for transcription. Yeah, I hope I've spelled this right. And the second tab we want to is upload audio. So I'm just going to copy this and upload audio for transcription. So we have two tabs. We're going to save this now, and instead of having text inputs, we know that we need audio inputs, and the source then needs to be audio. So we're going to use this audio source, and if you click this, documentation is available here as well, right? And as we mentioned, I think one more thing which we need to see is if you give the file, if you give the type is equal to file path, the file would be sent. But actually what we'll do is we'll go here and we'll convert this to recorded underscore audio underscore input, and let me pass it here as well, and uploaded audio input here, and let me change this to audio as well, and we'll keep everything as default. And let's try to restart this application. Stop and rerun. Okay, and let's start it. So if you see now the titles have changed, which is nice, but currently we only have this upload button. So if you see here, one of them is a record and the other one is submit this audio. So we want to change this recorded audio. We need to see the recorded audio. So where does that come from? It's pretty simple, the source. So if the source which is default upload, then the upload box will prompt. But if we give source is equal to microphone, then it will change it to what do you say, the one which we see here, the one which we see in our kind of reference thing. So let's go and do that. So this is the one, right? Source is equal to microphone. So this is the first change which you're going to make. and let's try to restart this application. Again, full customization is available. So if you in the earlier thing, in the earlier one where the speed, the image which was shown a little bit large, you can have full control over the size of this blocks and all. But I think that's a little bit out of the scope. We don't want to go into this formatting or kind of formatting of this front end related work, or the Gradio front end. That core, I think, is just to look at AssemblyAI and how it kind of helps you, how it combines with Gradio, and how you can use them to do transcription and kind of play around with the APIs. So let me try to refresh this, and if you see, it's now changed to record. If I just click here, it records the you have to allow it, but I'm going to allow it, and it will record the data, and you can re-record as well. And this, I think it's okay. We want to upload the transcription. Okay, now I think this is okay. Now what we want to do is third tab, which is check status and generate subtitles. So let's do check status. So check status, what the goal of check status is that once we submit this audio for transcription, it won't be done immediately, because we are on the basic plan, and suppose we record a lengthy audio, it's going to take some time. So what you can do is, once you click on record and we click on submit, then we'll be given a transcription ID, which is nothing but a 32 character alphanumeric string, and that is the ID, or where our process is at in the transcription process. You can check the status. If it's completed, we'll see completed and the result of the transcription. If not, we'll just see that the current status. That's what we're going to implement: check status and generate subtitles. So check status is just text, and generate subtitles is a combination of these are radio buttons, text, and a file block, because we want the ability to download, we want to see the result as well, and we want the ability to download. So let's try to implement. Check status should be pretty simple, so let's implement that first. So I'm going to copy this, and we'll do this, and this will name check status, and this is going to be, what do you say, transcription ID underscore input, and this is text box. Let's keep it as it is. Transcriptions ID output, and then we need or transcriptions status input, transcription status output, and transcription status button, and check status. And then let's add one more tab here. So I think this is image button, so let's change that now. So instead of having record audio input, let's convert it to record audio output, and record audio button. Similarly, uploaded audio output, this needs to be a text box, and uploaded audio button. So we need to change here as well, and here as well, and similarly. So the output also needs to change here: recorded audio, uploaded audio, and transcription status button, and this needs to be transcription status input. Okay. And this one needs to be this one. So what this will do is, we'll talk about this later, but transcription status button, I think this is okay. And now let's try to restart our application. Okay, the application is restarted, and now let's refresh. Okay, we have the check status, we have the text box. This shows an input, so I think we need to correct that. So it was here, right? Transcription status output. Yeah, this one. I think this is why it was complaining. Let's try to rerun this. This also definitely is wrong, so let me correct that as well. Status, upload audio output, and record audio output. I think let me restart this once. The thing is, we want this to be just output fields, right? We don't want to be able to input anything. So yeah, the inputs need to be correct. To revisit again, what do we see in the subtitles? This is the type of subtitle. The transcription ID, this is similar because we can only generate we can only see the subtitles based on the transcription ID. That is, we can only retrieve our results based on the transcription ID. That's our whole link to whatever is going on. So if you submit this file, each and every transcription or process will be assigned an ID, and that's the ID which we need to work with. So, and this checkbox just says the type of subtitle file you want. Do you want the SRT one or the VTT one? What is the result of the transcription you want? So that's just this block. So let me try to implement this now. So what we'll do is we'll keep this accordion as it is and get this one. So I've already done the implementation kind of, because we are implementing a lot of stuff. So we want to make this tutorial quick. And the type. So if you see the formatting difference, this is just because the code I've already used a black to format this or kind of make it Puppet compliant. But yeah, again, this is a new block, which new component which we're going to try to introduce. It is called a radio button, and it has two options, SRT and VTT, and the label is the type of subtitle. So basically this type of subtitle is the one which we're going to. I think we need to clean up this as well. This text box, we need to clean up this text box. So we want to say this to be transcription ID. So let's do that as well. And how do you do that? I think is simple. Label, I think label is equal to transcription ID, and let's label this as well, and transcription result. This one says transcription ID. So this is corrected. Now let's look at this block again. What we're doing here is the type of subtitles. This is just one component we given to the name, and this is a radio button with SRT or VTT. And the second is just a text box. It has one label and it has a placeholder. Placeholder is nothing but what do you see? If you are from the HTML, if you're from the front end, this what you see here is the placeholder. So we can do that as well. It's not important. It's just nice to have. That's what needs to be inserted. We have this transcription status ID as input, subtitle output as the text box, which is basically displaying this result, and then we have subtitle file. So file is another component which is available, gr.file, just like any other component. This is the available, and this is the button. Now let's add this dot click. Let's just copy this. Let's try, we'll kind of clean this up, but for now we want input to be type of subtitles. So here we only supplied one input, but now we want to supply two inputs. So type of subtitles needs to go in, and transcription status ID, or maybe you can just call it transcription ID to keep it simple. Okay, so we can supply multiple inputs as well. So what this input block will do, I think I forgot to mention, is this inputs will be passed to this function. So whatever is this function, these two inputs will be passed to this function in this order only. So we want to supply the type of subtitle and the transcription ID, and the output here also is going to be an output file, and as well as the what do you say, text box as well, and the file as well. So we want to see both forms, right? So now we've done that, and so this also covers the use case of how to pass multiple inputs and how to get multiple outputs. Let's correct this and restart. Okay, the application is restarted, and so okay, so we have this ready. Text status is also okay. I think electronics, let's cut. Okay, I think this is also ready. The result is nice. So we have the transcription result here. So I think you see the placeholders as well, and the file is also ready. This is again output block, so we cannot upload anything. If you see, the upload functionality is not available, and you can also select this. So basically what has happened is you can select the type of subtitle files you want. These are the two popular components. Give the transcription ID and you'll see the result, and you'll also be able to download it as a file. Okay, I think our front end is now ready. Let us try to build the back end. So we have done a change of gear. So we are wearing the second shirt which is available to us. Yeah, in case you haven't noticed already. So we're back at the we've done the front end. Now we want to actually be able to build the back end. That is, we want to query the APIs which are available. Now we're back at the AssemblyAI documentation, and let's see what is available here. Authentication, I think this one is okay. I think we don't want to go to that. We want to actually try to submit files for transcription. And okay, I think there's submit available and there's uploading files as well. So let's see what the difference is. If your audio aren't accessible via URL like in S3 bucket, you can upload local files directly. Okay, so I think this is the one. So if you want to submit, I think if you already have the files which are stored in say S3 bucket or AWS or any server, I think this is your solution. Here you have to give the URL. But if you want to submit files locally, I think this is the solution. So the code, I think, is available in a lot of languages, but I think for our use case, this one serves okay. So what this does is, we have to give the file name, and this will read the file. It will convert it into it will read the file name. Actually, let's see what this is. It reads the file basically, and it converts it into chunks, and basically it is passed to the it is uploaded as a, what is here. Actually, just to keep it short, what this basically does is it reads the file and it uploads it to their server or their CDN, which is available. Because we don't have the mechanism, or the files are locally, they cannot transcribe locally. Of course, I think with the CLI available, you can do that locally, I think. But if it's not, or maybe, I think I've not played around with the CLI. I'm not sure how it works, but yeah, I think this is the solution for us. We'll just read the entire file and upload it to their the cloud or whatever the uploading solution is. So firstly, I think this is what we need. So when we say here record audio for transcription and upload audio, I think in both cases what we're doing is basically we need to send the file to their servers for at least to start the transcription process. So once the file is uploaded, submit your uploaded file for transcription. I think it's pretty simple. Once the file is uploaded, we get back an uploaded URL, which is okay. And that uploaded URL, we then need to pass it to this API, assemblyai.com/v2/transcript. The uploaded audio URL, which is basically this, your API token, the content type, and then we make a post request to this endpoint. So let's try to implement this as this at least, and see how it works. So I'm going to quickly do the implementation. I'm not going to copy paste everything and do the modifications. I'm going to quickly do the implementation and then I'll see you in a minute. Okay, actually before we move on to implementing the function, actually I've already done the implementation, but I think we need to handle or tackle something which is kind of set up some logging, so it will give us an idea as to what what is currently going on in our code. And also, as I mentioned, we need the API key, I think API key here, and this URLs, I think the base URL at least till v2 is the same, if I'm not wrong. Yep, I think v2 is same. After that we have this transcription URL and we have an upload URL as well. So I'm going to kind of store this in an env file, and we're going to use that because I don't want to expose my key, and neither do I want to write these URLs every time. So that's what we have done. This is a simple code. Firstly, we've implemented logging. So if you are not that big a pro in logging, I think it's okay. I'm not as well, but I have a nice handy series on logging in Python. I've implemented like a 3-part series on how logging works, how we can set it up, how we can use the basic config or file config, stuff like that. It's a bit off topic, but I do have a detailed series on that, and you can check that. I'll leave the link to that in the I button or the description, somewhere like that. And that read config is pretty simple. I have a config.yaml. I have it somewhere here. I'm not going to show it. Test.env as well, where I store the base URL. So we have a URL for a base URL for upload. We have a base URL for transcription, and then we have the API key. And we're going to do some logging. So what we have done here. So yeah, we're going to do some logging. So as promised, I've written 2 functions. One is to upload the file and submit to transcribe, which is roughly here. And as they mentioned, as part of this response, we'll get an upload URL, and we need to keep on checking the status of that as well. So I've done two functions: upload file and submit to transcribe. Basically, the base URL is read, API key is read. We log this, and then request.post the base URL. The base URL is nothing, but I can assure you that it's nothing different than what is mentioned here. I think to keep our life simple, base URL underscore upload to avoid any confusion, and base URL upload. Okay, upload URL, I think it's okay. So what happens here is we read the file here, and then we make a post request to this endpoint, and we log the response, and we also kind of get the uploaded URL. So if you read documentation, what will happen here is once the upload finishes, you'll get back a JSON response that includes your upload URL. The upload URL points to a private endpoint accessible only to AssemblyAI's backend servers. So that's basically it. And what we're going to do is we're going to retrieve that uploaded URL, and we're going to query the endpoint. So what this query endpoint does is basically nothing different but base URL underscore transcript. And let's see here. Basically it checks the checks the status of the transcription and returns the transcription ID. So we go back here, this one, if we give go to the upload section, somewhere, not here, but let's try to search where it gives us something back. Yeah, I think this v2/transcript, not this, but I think getting the transcription result is also the one which we're looking for. But basically what I'm trying to say here is once you submit it for transcription here, yeah, what you'll get back is a response.json, and that response will have a transcription ID, and it will have a status as well. So if you see here, getting this transcription result, so the status of the transcription is queued, processing, and completed. So what you can do is you can make a get request to this endpoint with the transcription ID, and it will tell you the status. So you can do this repeatedly after certain intervals, or you can implement webhooks as well. So if you're aware of the concept, you can use a webhook, and AssemblyAI will tell you that the transcription is completed. You can query that. But instead, what we're going to do is we're going to check it periodically, and if the status of the transcription is completed, then only we're going to display the result. So what this function does is it queries the endpoint. I think you can give it a better name, and it returns the ID. Okay. So let's now try to so this is done. I think these two functions are done. So what we need to do is upload and submit file for submit to transcribe, or I think transcribe is okay. I think always get confused between two words. So what we need to do is we need to replace these functions with upload and submit to transcribe. Okay. So what we've basically done is we have called two functions, and within that function we have called the query endpoint as well, which will basically give us the transcription ID. Now let me try to run this. It runs okay, because I think I've practiced this code a few times. The logging is also there. Hopefully flip image is not defined. It's okay. I think flip image is not defined. So I think what we just to make it work, and I'm going to restart this. Yeah, so our application is started. Let's try to refresh this and submit upload audio for transcription, and let me try to upload it. I'm not going to try and say something, but let's, I have sample audio, and let's see if we can hear this. I think I need to remove this. Yeah, I don't think we can hear it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say flip, but we know it shouldn't say flip, it should say submit. But let's try to see if this works. This is given an error. I think it's okay. Let's see. Expected a path like object, and I think we know why. Here I think we need to we cannot submit. So firstly, let's correct. Let's do this. Submit. Let me stop this. Submit, and let's change one more thing, which is type. I think as I mentioned, here we want to submit the file exactly. We're taking the file path here, right? So we want to submit the file instead of a numpy array, which is what actually this says. So it expected a file path, but it got a tuple instead, because the default is numpy, and it will convert the file audio into a tuple consisting of sample rate and stuff like that. So this is done, and similarly here also let's do that, and let me restart this application. If I go to the audio component of this, if you see, I can if I don't mention the file path, then it will pass it as a tuple. So that's what it was complaining about. So let me restart this and try to upload a file and submit. Hopefully it works this time. I think it will. Yeah, it's given us a transcription ID back. Yeah, now we can check the status of this transcription as well. I think it won't return anything, because again it'll error out because we've not implemented. And now let's implement the check status. I think we'll now implement the the check status. So what the check status will basically do is, it will go here and it will call this URL, supply the transcript ID as an input, and give us the status, because we want to check the status, right? If it's completed, if it's processing and stuff like that. And if it's completed, we will display the result of the transcription as well. So we have to make a get request. So I've implemented the code for that. It's pretty straightforward. Read the API key and read the URL and supply the transcript ID. Make a get get call to this endpoint, which is nothing but the URL along with the headers. The header, it has to only be authorization key. And what it does is, if transcription is still in if the response.status is not equal to completed, let's just say transcription is completed or is in progress, and if not, from the response just return the text. What I'm going to do is logger.info response JSON, just to get an idea. We're going to print the entire response as well. And again, as mentioned, the transcription status needs this as an input, and what we need to give it is the transcription ID. So let's give that as an input as well. So transcription status input, basically this input, the output has to be transcription status, just display the status of the transcription. So let me restart. So we have done that. Again, just to revisit the code, what we have done, nothing special. We just called the endpoint with the transcription ID, and where this input has come from is here. And what is this? This is nothing but the text box. So let's restart this. I think the application is running now. Let's try to refresh this, upload audio. We have some limit on the, I'm using the basic plan, but I'm hoping that the number of requests we're making, I think that should be okay. So let's submit this for transcription, and we'll get back a transcription ID, and let's check the status. Okay, so the transcription is still in progress. And if we look back at the entire response, it'll show you all the configurations, what the kind of where the file was uploaded and stuff like that. You can take a look at it later as well. So, and if you just see the entire URL as well. Now we're going to go back and to check status again. So this is a sample audio, and this is exactly what was present in the audio file which I uploaded. Okay, so this is working fine, and I think now let's try something different. This is a demo for Gradio. Again, now I'm recording this live, so I've set this live, so you just have to give a little bit of, what do you say, buffer, or not buffer, but take into consideration my accent as well. So I'm going to submit this now, and I think I said, I forgot what I said, but I think building a demo using Gradio or something like that. And check the status of this. Transcription is still in progress, so let's give it one more minute. This is a demo for Grade. I think it's okay. I think I said I did not say Gradio properly, but this is a demo for Grade. So let's try one more time. I love India. That's a simple word. I said I love India. That's pretty straightforward. So let's see what happens now. Submit this and check status. I love India. So I think that's pretty straightforward. So if you say it clearly, and if your accent is not like way off, I think mine is okay. It's not that way off. I think it does a fantastic job as well. So now the last remaining part is generate subtitles. I think generate subtitles. So let's try to implement it. So the front end is already ready. We just need to kind of implement the function which we need to call. So basically the thing which goes here. We are back at the assembly AI docs, and this code transcription logic, what all services are available. So there's speaker label. So if there are more than one people in the audio recording, you can have speaker label. You have some custom vocabulary. You have a nice one which is called as profanity filtering. So if you, want to filter out, not filter out, but kind of peep those words which are not friendly, or we don't want people to hear them, profanity filtering is available as well. And all of these are just available as a configuration. So what happens in profanity filtering is the beep is standard, just everything is marked with an asterisk. So I assume this word is, I don't want to say it, but you can guess what this 4-letter word which starts with S could be. So we just have to pass it as a parameter to the JSON. So we pass the audio URL along with. So where did we pass the audio URL? It's pretty simple, I think, while submitting it to the transcription. Yeah, here. So while we pass it as well, while we pass it for transcription, what you can do is you can pass in some other keywords as well. So if you say speaker labels, you can set speaker labels is equal to true, custom vocabulary, word boost. So what custom vocabulary will do, on the right we show you how to include word boost. This parameter in your post request supports for custom, any term included in this will so yeah, if you kind of what this does is basically tells the, so if there are any difficult words, I think, say from an Indian accent or some Indian names, what you can do is you can include them as well. And actually let's try this. Can we try this? How do we do that? Custom vocabulary. So we have to do word boost. Yeah, word boost. And what I'm going to do is we're going to try this. So I think it had problem transcribing grade IO, right? So let's do this. Here what we'll do is word boost, and let's say grade IO, and let's say Jerry, and let's say assembly AI as well. Yeah, and let me rerun this. And once it restarts, we're going to try and redo the whole thing. So what I'm going to try and say is maybe Jaideep is working with grade IO and assembly AI. So yeah, I think the application is restarted. Let me restart this. Jaideep loves working with assembly AI and grade IO. Submit. And this, and let's check these. Let's give it 1 2 3 4 5. I don't want to query the API many times. I think it did it didn't do the best possible jobs as well. I think I could have been a little bit what do you say, more, but assembly I think is okay. Grade IO I've not done. I don't think it's done a good job. And also Jaideep, I think it's pretty it could have done the translation a little bit better, I think, but you can put that down to my accent as well and how good my microphone is, stuff like that. But let's not deviate from the topic. You can just play around with this as and when you like. What we are more interested in this transcription. So what we basically want to do is going to generate the type of subtitles based on this URL. The URL is standard till here, transcription ID, I think it's standard till here, and you have to apply the type of subtitles you want. And so now this radio button might make a bit more sense to you. So we implemented the logic. The logic is again very straightforward. What we've done is we're taking in the transcript ID and the type of subtitles from here, this and the transcription ID, and then if check the status, if the transcription is completed and all that, and if it is not errored out, we write it to a file locally and we push the text. The text is nothing but the actual subtitles, and we also write the same text to the file, and we push it back. So once you push it back, this will return 2 outputs, and that is why we have 2 outputs. The first would be subtitle output status and subtitle output file. So I think we can do bit better. Subtitle output text. So here also text, because it's a text, right? Even the status is just a text. So I think I've done a good job like renaming it. And let's now try to restart this. And the application is restarted, and let's refresh this. I love India. All Indians are my brothers and sisters. So this is just a line from the Indian pledge, and let's try to transcribe it. We have the transcription ID, and instead of going to check status, what we're going to do is we're going to try to generate an SRT file, and let's see what happens here. Download subtitles. Oh, it's errored out. I think I know why it's errored out, because most probably this function we've not given the generate subtitles here. Yeah, I think I know this. So lose the recording. Yeah, we'll have to record it again. Probably do a better line this time. I think this is started, so let's restart this. I love India. All Indians are my brothers and sisters. And let's submit this. So we have a transcription ID. So it works pretty fast as well. I think it does a fairly decent job. Download subtitles. Titles, no body found. So I think we have not done something right. Let's see what the log says. File uploaded, type of subtitles. Okay. Description ID is also okay. Subtitle output text. Subtitle output. Definitely we've done something wrong. Let's see if we can find what we've done wrong. Well, description this lower. Let's try it one more time. 404. No title, body font. I think so. Definitely we're doing something wrong. We need to kind of debug this. Let's see if we're able to debug this. Transcription SRT. The transcription ID of subtraction ID. Okay, I think this. So yeah, we have reversed the input. So as I mentioned, the first input is the transcription ID, and the second is the type of subtitle. So here, I think if you see the URL clearly mentions that you have to supply the transcription ID first and the type of subtitles later, and we've done the exact opposite. Let me close this. Yeah, so this is why logging is important. So you should always have some logs in place to tell you what is happening. Okay, hitting the record button again. I am going to hit the record button and then stop recording after I am done. Okay, this is just errored out now. Okay, I think I did not click the stop recording. Now I'm going to do it again. So I've just clicked on start recording, and now I'm going to click on stop recording. This time I've actually clicked and submitted now. Okay, we have the transcription ID. Let's use SRT. Let's try to download the subtitle. Okay, so just click on start recording, and now I'm going to click on stop recording. This is perfect actually, and this also gives us the download. So if you want to download it, the file is also available, and it's a subtitles file. There's a limitation on this file length as well. So if you just what I'd done earlier is I tried to use this ID to save the file, but it was getting too long. So this is perfect. If I want to do this and I just download the subtitles, the web VTT is available and subtitles start. So if I just download this, and let's download it, the download section only, notepad. Yeah, this. So just click on recording start, and I'm going to click stop and on stop recording. So this is perfect. I think this works as intended. So this works perfectly. You can download the subtitles as well. So whatever functionality we set to kind of embed into this or try to build out, this is perfectly working. And so this was a quick demo to how the solutions or how the world is moving towards speech to text recognition, and how the solutions which are available are like fantastic. They take away so much of headache from us of building these models and all. You can do it on your own, but I don't think that's much use. You can just leverage, leave the job to the experts, and Assembly AI or one of them. So I think, again, do check out the website, and if you are, or have use cases for these kind of services, definitely check the website and play around with the APIs as well and see what works for you, and you can then take it forward as well. Also, I think we need to give a big shout out to Gradio as well. I think if I sit to build this on my own, this all the front end, I actually definitely not do that. I mean, I can do that, but not like this fancy. I'd probably put something without all these fancy formatting and for these fancy tabs and all. But yeah, again, a big shout out to Gradio as well for making life of people like us who are not that good with front ends simple. So yeah, thanks to them as well. Okay, that is it for this video tutorial. I hope you liked it. I showed you building these front ends. It covered Gradio as well, but the most important part is we wanted to show you how AssemblyAI works, or what are the one of the possible options for speech to text translation. And if you like the video, I think click on the subscribe button. You know what to do. You can leave your feedback in the comment section as well. I've gotten repeated feedback to kind of speak slow, but I think that's just how I speak. I try to speak slowly, but I think even that is a little bit fast. So I do apologize for that. But again, yeah, if you like the video, if you found the content useful, if you have any doubts or stuff like that, you can leave a comment and just ask for help. I'll definitely, if I know it, I'll answer straight away. If not, I'll study and answer it. I don't actually, one of the things which I want to clarify is I don't know all the things. There's things which I don't know. The idea behind being a content creator is that try to learn stuff, and whatever you learn, try to teach it, so that the next person who wants to learn the same thing just finds it that bit easier and free of cost. So that's the whole idea behind content creation. I'm not an expert. I'm definitely not an expert. It's just that I'm a little bit more willing to learn and kind of share the knowledge back. That was some generic gyan if you're from the Hindi world. And with that being said, we are going to stop this video here. Thank you for watching, and this video will be out by Diwali, so if you're from India, I think happy Diwali to you. I hope you all have a nice time with your family and you enjoy the vacation to your fullest. And just before leaving, do leave a like on the video for the algorithm. I think the subscriber count is a bit low, but I think that's okay. Over the time it will build. But it's encouraging if you hit the subscribe button if not already done so. Leave some kind words in the comment section, and do hit the like button and share this with your friends as well. Do hit the subscribe button, and thank you for watching.